Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've gone out and I've bought myself this absolute donkey of a Renault Clio. It comes with rusty nuts, 3 good tyres, 1 knacker tyre. It does come with MOT, it runs and drives. I've got issues to fix. Hopefully I'll get it done in the next couple of days and we can make a profit on this car. In the next couple of days, I'm going to take this old tired Clio, fix it up and get it ready for sale again. So this is what I bought, a £420 Renault Clio off eBay. When you're buying a car off eBay, you kind of expect the worst, don't you? I was expecting a lot of faults with this thing. Engine lights, ABS lights, and I just thought it'd just run like a bag of nails, to be honest. But what I've ended up with is actually, I've got a tidy little Clio here. The interior is a bit questionable. I'm sure they copied the design from my grand's house. Inside the cab, it comes with all the faults you'd expect from this kind of age of car. It's got a mirror that's sort of deteriorating, and it's also got some temperature gauges in the centre. It's currently reading -15 on this lovely summer's day we got here. Bodywork on this car is actually alright. There's one clear dent on it, but that is all I can kind of see on the car. Anyways, it's time to get this on a road test. We got some big, tall tyres here, so let's see if we can get it screeching around the corners. So I've just got this car back from the test drive. This thing drives really well. There's a couple minor faults that it's got. I'll show you that on the camera in a second, but they're only minor faults in my opinion. The big problem with this, it's got no service history. I think it's going to need a cam belt at a minimum. So basically, if I want to make any money on this, I'm going to have to do that work myself. How hard could it really be? So let's get it in the workshop and let's have a go, eh? The biggest job we've got to do on this Clio is give it a full service. I've just got this cam belt kit. It's arrived from Autodoc. It took about a week to turn up, but it's the best price one I could find. Parts look good. Time to install them. So I've never done a cam belt before. I'm armed with my YouTube. Who's on that? DIY Daily. Let's see what he's got to say. And also I've got my Haynes manual. Let's give this a go. The first job on this is to remove this wheel arch liner. That'll give us much more access to the cam belt. Once it's out of the way, you'll be able to see the pulley on the crank at the bottom, and we can use that to set up the timing. We can turn that with the engine in neutral, and we can find top dead centre. Once we've got the timing sorted out, the flywheel should line up with this hole, and then you can put a drill piece in there, 7.5, and that'll lock the bottom end off. On the top, we've got an engine mount that needs to come out of the way. The engine mount is actually bolted to the cam cover on this one. So putting a jack underneath, we removed it, and then we had access to the belt. At this point, we could have just done an inspection and see how the belt was. It didn't actually need replacing in my opinion, but I did it anyway, as we haven't got any service history on this car. So that's the old one. As you can see, it's not actually that bad. There's signs of wear, but it doesn't look like it's going to be breaking anytime soon. So I've now put the new belt on, and I'm just checking everything lines up. The Tipex I put on, the 2 markers up the top, and on the bottom of the crank, there's markings that have got to line up as well. Unfortunately, on this engine, it doesn't look like there's a way to lock the top end off. I'm just hoping nothing's moved, everything's still in line. Unfortunately for me, as I was turning this engine over, the belt was starting to slide off the cams. And on start up, you could really hear the belt squealing against the case. So it had to come apart again. This was the problem. I'd fitted the 2 locating pins onto the wrong ledge. They're right next to each other. Schoolboy error. This is the old tensioner I'm just showing you there. The new one is exactly the same, just silver. This is where the tensioner should sit. Visibility ain't great down here, but this is where it should be fitted. Unfortunately, I fitted it to that one there. Fortunately for me, everything still runs and sounds great. So let's get on with the rest of the service then. We swapped the old spark plugs out for some new ones. Pop the coil off, deep 40mm socket, and then the old ones come out, and then just refit the new ones. I put a new air filter in. As you can see, the condition of the old one, it really isn't too bad at all. For the oil, a new washer was put on that cured the little oil leak we got going on there. On to the mechanical issues. We've got some dodgy sounding wipers going on here. On an inspection, we stripped down the wipers. As you can see, the motor spins fine. The problem was actually caused by a loose linkage. If you look at the brackets there, they're damaged, they're snapped. So that linkage was going everywhere. It's quite a common fault on this Clio. That's why those parts are charged at a premium. Fortunately though, down the local scrapyard they had quite a few Clios in, so I was able to get one on the same day. My used replacement actually looks more beat up than the old one, so I'm going to give that a good clean up before it goes back in and give it a good service, bit of oil. But there's the broken brackets on the old ones. Back in and looking good. On to the last fix. So I've got 3 good tyres and one that's worn slightly on the outside. The Clio is one of the only cars that do a 165, 65, 15-inch wheel, which means locating one of those tyres, you're going to have to pay a premium for that as well. Fortunately though, these guys have used tyres and I was able to find one in there for 20 quid. With all the mechanical things just about done, it's time to give this car a good polish up and let's get it up for sale. Jazz says she wants to come and play cars today. So while she's cleaning the car, I'm going to go off and do some paperwork. The important stuff in the office and all that. How you getting on there, Jazz? Don't worry guys, I'm not going to make her clean the whole thing, mainly because I want a decent job doing. While she's getting on with that, come over here look, and let's have a look at this Focus I picked up the other day. Unfortunately the engine's shot. I think it's got a warped block. However, it still runs, just no power. This thing sounds absolutely fantastic though. Anyway, let's get back to the more interesting stuff. Polishing the panels on this car. So before I can put any colour restorer and polish on this car, I need to make sure all these panels on the car are nice and clean. That means using a little bit of clay bar to take all the impurities out of the paint. So when you're using the clay bar, you want to go up and down or side to side. You don't want to go any swirling kind of patterns because that will scratch the paint potentially. It's a long drawn out process on this car, or any car to be honest. I use some of Maguire's colour restorer. Hopefully it does the trick. Once I'd removed any leftover product on the bonnet, I then applied some wax, and that gave it that nice mirror finish I was looking for. Well, eventually I applied some wax. Piece of junk. So with that one half panel done, that left me about 8 or 9 more panels to do. Including a few coffee breaks, I reckon the entire car took me about 4 hours to do, maybe even 5. It was a Saturday job, so no rushing on this one, just leisurely kind of pace. With the bodywork done, I treated the car to some new wheel trims. 15 quid off eBay, what a bargain. I have a feeling these might come off at the first turning though, so I'm going to fit these and then put a couple cable ties on them just to keep them secure. As always, I like to give the headlights a good buff up, going through the grits. Starting with 600, 1000, 1500, 2000 and then 3000 grit. I then use a bit of Auto Gym's compound cutter just to polish the headlights up. This will keep your headlights looking good for around 2 to 3 months. However, if you want to keep your headlights looking new for longer, I suggest using some of this stuff. It's basically lacquer that goes on the headlight and protects from UV sunlight. I sprayed this on and little by little, this looked much better. Ah man, that was terrible. This is my grotty engine bay. Don't worry guys, I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this. I'm going to get the engine nice and hot and then give it a good jet wash out. Any plastic engine trays and things, I'm just going to give them a nice clean up, and that'll do for this one. Looks much better, much more presentable. So there you go guys, that's my finished product, a lovely Renault Clio. Comes with a full service, MOT, good tyres, really nice little cheap car for someone, I reckon that. So the mileage is currently on 130k. What kind of price would you guys put this in at? Let me know what you think. So that is my Renault Clio finally finished. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. So basically I made some mistakes on this car. I paid 150 quid for a service kit that I fitted. I don't actually think it really needed to have all the parts. I could have got away with a cam belt. I actually didn't even have to do the cam belt. Looking at the condition, it was quite good. So I really just shouldn't have bothered doing that. I paid £42 for a wiper linkage, 30 quid for a tyre, and then I paid 420 for the whole car. So I ended up selling this car to a family friend for 900 quid. After all that's taken out, I made 268 quid, which is around a 60 to 65% profit, which doesn't sound too bad on paper. However, I spent a whole day cleaning this car. I spent a Saturday, so probably like 6 or 7 hours, really polished the hell out of it, and it's just not worth it on this car. You can't polish another 500 quid into this thing. It's just a waste of time. I should have took it to the local garage, got it washed for a tenner. And servicing, I've never done a cam belt. It took me the whole day to do it because as I mentioned in the video, I didn't do it quite right. So I had to go back and do it 2 or 3 times till I figured out what was going wrong. So that cost us a day. And then another half a day collecting parts and repairing the wiper. So if I was gonna do this again, I'd probably just give it a good clean, repair the wiper, and then put it up for like £800 and have a quick sale on it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully I've learned a little bit. And yeah, cheers.